Removal of the wheels and tires isn't necessary, but we've got our 8-inch portals and 7 to 10-inch lift kit installed on this machine, so we went ahead and removed them to ease our installation. The first thing we're going to want to do is remove all the seats from the machine. In order to remove the console, we need to remove the following fasteners. This one located here in the front, this push pin located here, and also one on the opposite side. The Torx 30 screw located here, and also here, directly across, and then the 2 push pins in the rear. Next thing we're going to do is remove the hood. We'll also have to remove this bolt and this bolt here in order to remove the dash so we can run the wiring up through it. Using a razor blade, cut the pre-marked holes on the dash for the rocker switches. The next step is to drill holes in the front fascia for the turn signal lights using a 3/4 inch bit, but we recommend to use a step bit. You have the option to drill your holes anywhere you want on your plastic. You can use one of the turn signal lights, both of them. We got a bumper and full protection kit installed on our machine, so we decided to drill our holes here and here. That's the best visibility that we found when running the bumper and the full protection. Make sure whenever you're installing the control box to the mounting bracket that this SuperATV is facing towards the machine, and then this SuperATV that's engraved on the bracket is facing away from the machine. We're going to use our provided hardware. Then you'll want to take a 3.5mm Allen and an 8mm wrench and fully tighten the hardware. We're going to remove the 2 T30 Torx that are holding the air dam on for the radiator. Once that's removed, we're going to grab our bracket and control box. Whenever you go to install this, you just want to take all the wiring and kind of tuck it out of the way for the time being. And the long portion of the bracket needs to go into the driver's side. The short side with the big hole needs to go to the passenger side. We'll just go right underneath of this hose. You'll line it back up and then you'll get your factory screws. Go ahead and reinstall them. Now our bracket's installed. We're going to cut a hole in the grommet large enough to get our plugs for the rocker switch through, directly below the accessory bar. Push the top portion of the dash back. And we're going to start feeding our rocker switch plugs through the hole that we previously cut in the dash. Each of the rocker switch plugs are labeled, turn signals, hazard, horn. We're going to insert the plug through the hole we made in the dash for the rocker switch. So the first one we have here is going to be our hazard switch. So we're going to get our hazard switch. One thing to keep in mind, these switches will only go one way. You see there's a hole, and there's a post here that lines up in that hole, and then a clip. So we have 2 posts here, and a blade there. We're gonna go ahead. Install just like so. We're gonna feed our wire back in through the hole. There's our hazard switch. Next one's gonna be the horn switch. We're gonna do it the same exact way. Ensure all the tabs and pins are lined up. The last one's going to be our turning signal switch. You can see all the rocker switches are installed. They're all functioning. We're good to go. When you go to install the turn signal lights, you want to take the rubber off of the light. Insert it into the hole. And push the light into the rubber grommet. We're going to install the front harness to the machine. But before we do so, we want to make sure that it's oriented properly. We got our left side, or driver's side, and then our right, or passenger. We're going to start by installing the passenger side. We're going to run it underneath the control box bracket and start feeding it down towards the outside of the machine. And we'll just let it hang, and then we'll get on over to the other side. Now we're going to feed the driver's side connections underneath the coolant reservoir. We're going to connect our harness to our turn signal lights, but first we need to be sure to put the dielectric grease into each of the male connections. Once the connections are made, you want to tie up the excess wiring harness to the frame of the machine, just to ensure it doesn't come in contact when the suspension starts to articulate. Repeat the steps for the passenger side. Apply dielectric grease to the control box connector. Then, plug in the front turn signal harness to the control box. Once it's plugged in, you'll want to tuck the wires out of the way and secure them as necessary. We're going to attach the horn bracket to the horn using the provided hardware. You want to leave it loose enough so you can rotate the bracket as needed to install it to the machine. When installing the horn to the machine, you can pretty much mount it anywhere you want, depending on your application. You know, some guys are gonna have quite a bit of accessories up here. We have, you know, not so much accessories, but we decided we're gonna mount it on the firewall using the self-tapping screw provided in the hardware kit. Connect the harness to the horn. It doesn't matter, you can put it this way, the horn will work either way. We're going to take our rear harness, take the front portion that connects to the control box, and feed it through the grommet. Once it comes through on the opposite side, we're going to go around to the front here, reach down, grab it, We'll get our dielectric grease, put some in the connector, then connect it to the portion of the control box labeled rear. Then we'll go back inside the machine, pull the slack to us. We'll go ahead and start running our wires. We want to run them right around the shifter and out through the back towards the rear of the machine. Just get it out there where you can get a hold of it. We'll come around to the back side, grab it and feed it through. I like to run the wires with these hoses here that start back behind the airbox and follow their way all the way back to the exhaust. This connection here, this is our factory connection. We're going to want to disconnect this. Once it's disconnected, we'll get our dielectric grease again. Make sure this factory connection isn't dirty. Put some dielectric grease in there. We'll connect the SuperATV harness to it on this side. And also on this side. So you may wonder what these wires here are for. This is going to be if you want to use a license plate light. Today we're not going to be installing one, so we're not going to use them. Once our connections are made, we're going to get our zip ties provided in the kit, secure all the wiring. We'll just follow these hoses all the way down. Every little bit, just putting a zip tie. Make sure it stays in place. If you have excess wiring from your rear harness, you want to ensure that you place it all underneath of the console. Leave a little slack in the front so the console fits nicely. Kind of tuck all the wiring down inside of here. We're going to take a zip tie and just run it around this bunch wire here. Just kind of loosely put it together. You don't want to crimp any of the connections. Just tuck it in. And then go ahead and reinstall your console. Now we're going to power up the kit. In order to do that, we're going to need to attach our 12-volt keyed on power source to the far left post. Then our ground wire, which is labeled ground, to the center post. Now, on the accessory bar here, on the far right, we have this Torx screw. We're going to want to remove that in order to install our fuse holder. It's fully tightened. Now, if you ever needed to change your fuse on your turn signal kit, all you're going to do is remove that plug, and there you go. So that's how super easy it is to install SuperATV's Deluxe Turn Signal Kit on this Polaris RZR Turbo. For more information on this turn signal kit or any of SuperATV's great products, give us a call at 855-743-3427 or check us out online at superatv.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.